Donald Trump is doubling down on his proposed policy of registering all Muslims nationwide, perhaps even forcing them to identify themselves as Muslims. And he doesn't seem at all worried about the many concerns from people in the media, other politicians, that this seems very Nazi-ish, this sort of policy. Anyway, we've got a couple of video clips of him responding to these concerns. First here is him doubling down on the databases.
There should be a lot of systems beyond database. I mean, we should have a lot of systems. And today you can do it. But right now, border, we have to have strength, we have to have a wall, and we cannot let what's happening to this country happen.
But that's something your White House would like to implement.
Oh, I would certainly implement that. Absolutely.
What do you think the effect of that would be? How would that work?
It would stop people from coming in illegally. We have to stop people from coming in to our country illegally.
For Muslims specifically, how do you actually get them registered into a database?
It would be just good management. What you have to do is good management procedures. And we can do that. It's nice.
I mean, do you go to mosques and sign these people up into the system?
Different places. You sign them up at different, but it's all about management. Our country has no management.
Different places.
It's
Different places. Mosques, different places.
How long he's gotten away with being the
Quiznos.
most vague person on the planet.
What's vague about what he just said? We need good management.
We need good management.
We don't have good
And then
management.
whenever he's specific, his ideas are so disastrous. Like, really, like registering Muslims, like keeping a database on them.
And many other systems.
And many other systems.
We're going to go into mosques and many other places and track them down and register them all.
I also love how he combined two different issues there, right? Like, we got to build the wall, management, and then also we got to keep our country safe from the Muslims.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so are you talking about Mexican immigrants? Are you talking about Muslims? Are they both the same to you? He has no idea. He's the most vague, nonsensical candidate out there, and he's still taken seriously.
Yeah.
It drives me insane.
The reason that this was important to show, I think, is there were concerns. Some of the media were like, well, yesterday, oh, you guys are taking him out of context. He didn't bring up the databases. It was just suggested, and then he said we should totally, absolutely do that. So it's not fair to say that he wants it. Well, they just brought it up to him again, and he said we need that and we need other services. And we can do it. Would you actually go into mosques and track these people down? Yes, and other places. So the idea that his arm is being twisted into supporting Nazi-esque policies, no, it doesn't matter if he wasn't the first person to bring it up. The problem with Hitler wasn't that he suggested doing these awful things, it's that he did these awful things.
Right.
And Trump is saying we should do these awful things.
So, and the interesting thing in that clip was you're never going to see a celebrity journalist pushing back against Donald Trump like that. We just saw the CNBC debate, which was ridiculous, right, for how bad the media did in that job. But if you notice that person who was asking that question is like some anonymous NBC reporter. We don't really know
He's
who
probably lost his job.
Who probably is going to get in trouble because he's
Should be promoted.
Yeah, but he's going to get, hey, you can't piss off the people who give us ratings.
Yeah.
That's really is. That probably is happening.
Yeah.
That probably phone call probably,
it's possible,
hey,
yeah.
I get that you have to do your journalism, whatever, but lay off Trump a little. He helps our ratings. Friends with Chuck Todd.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, CNBC was bad, but Fox Business was even worse. I mean, they came onto the stage waving white flags that they were not going to put up any sort of opposition to his policy. Like, so he's now said, I mean, look, we're going to, he and Ben Carson apparently think that Muslims shouldn't be allowed to run for political office. They shouldn't be president. We should register them all. We should possibly have them have to carry some sort of ID or identification that they're Muslims. Is anybody going to bring this up, the next moderator of the next Republican debate? Like, does anybody seriously think that some of the scariest, farthest-reaching policies that have been proposed by a presidential candidate from one of the major parties, that will even be discussed? I don't think so. Like, Jeb Bush was speaking out against it today. Jeb Bush 1 out of 3 times, somewhat reasonable.
There you go.
He says, look, I don't think that we should register all of the members of a particular religion. Now, he is one of the guys who originally said there should be a religious test for Syrian refugees, and we should only let in the Christians.
They said, we should only, because there's no such thing as Christian terrorists. This is a guy whose brother ordered war crimes after illegally invading a country.
Yes.
There's no such thing as Christian terrorists. Your brother ordered war crimes, yeah? Yeah. Come on, give me a break. Come on, give me a break. How can you can tell if someone's a Christian. How can you tell, the reporter said. Oh, you can, come on, give me a break. That's what he
Exactly,
says.
yeah.
Come on, give me a break.
So, I mean, look, maybe he'll bring it up, possibly. It would be a terrible thing for him to do at the debate from his point of view because he'll kill his campaign if he says we shouldn't
his
register
campaign
all
is
Muslims.
already killed, so he doesn't really have much to lose. Look, he's right every once in a while, and I'm glad that he's speaking out against that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like right now, Jeb Bush's only political strategy is to just find things that he can very obviously disagree with Trump on.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not going to lead to too much pushback. But when you think about his base, I mean, they're probably not going to like it. His base is full of people who are afraid and they're scared and they hate Muslims and they want to do whatever they can to prevent them from coming into the country or prevent them from living free lives in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we saw the poll, 25% of Republican primary voters agreed with the idea that we should close down all mosques.
It's amazing.
And a larger percentage weren't sure.
But don't you understand religious freedom?
Maybe we make a religion illegal, maybe we don't.
Religious freedom is under attack in America. Like
Yeah.
we're letting gay people get married. We're forcing, these homophobic clerks to marry them. Like
Yeah.
religious freedom, it's under attack. What are we going to do about religious freedom?
Yeah. When you're more concerned with whether a Starbucks cup has like a biblical parable on it than whether all of the houses of worship of a religion get shut down nationwide, your priorities are fucked up, man.
Yeah.
But let's go to the last video clip, though, because this is especially important. I mean, we've been talking about, look at our master graphic. We're implying heavily there that this is some dangerous fascist shit that he's talking about recently. So how does he respond to those concerns? We're going to see in this clip.
Mr. Trump, why would Muslim databases not be the same thing as requiring Jews to register in Nazi Germany? What would be the difference? Is there a difference between the two? Is there a difference?
Who are you with?
I'm with NBC News. Is there a difference between requiring Muslims to register and Jews?
You tell me.
Nazi Germany?
You tell me.
Do you believe?
Why don't you tell me?
Do you believe there is?
You tell me.
Should Muslims be, fearful? Will there be consequences if they don't register?
Now, look, I understand some people are going to look at that and say, well, the dude's just trying to do autographs, man. Why does he have to deal with your concerns that you're wrecking America?
You're running for president of the United States. I don't care if you're doing autographs. I don't care if you're taking a leak in public. You are fair game in terms of questions regarding your policy ideas. I think that was probably the best example of journalism from NBC in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it real.
And by the way, like even if he's not worried about concerns that this is about as discriminatory towards Muslims as you could possibly be, the idea that it's easy to draw a line between your policy and a policy that absolutely destroyed the lives of Jewish individuals worldwide at one point in history, you would think he would want to defend his policy to show it's not like that. Like not out of concern for the Muslims, but just because he wouldn't want to, they're supposedly such fans of Israel. Yeah. You would think he would want to show that he was not plotting out his campaign based on Mein Kampf. You would think he would want to do that.
Right.
But instead it's a smug, what do you think? Why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me? No, why don't you tell Americans who are considering possibly making you commander-in-chief? Why don't you tell them?
Well,
but he's not going to.
It would have been nice if that reporter said, because I'm not running for president, and I know this is the first time, and you don't realize that this is how I ask you questions. No one gives a shit what I think.
Yeah.
Everybody gives a shit what you think because you might be president.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
how about
asking
this?
you.
I've been thinking about it all night. I'm drawing blanks. Now it's your turn.